Yo, sup, this is MI3, and yeah, we're just gonna be continuing on with the 2026 Unity content. So today in this mini episode, we're gonna be talking about one of the engines you could be running alongside your Dragoonity deck to spice things up a little. But it is also one of the engines that I personally didn't run myself, and that is the Red Eyes engine. Now, with every engine in Yu-Gi-Oh! These days, there's a cost and a benefit to running it or not. So we're going to be introducing like a little graphic whenever we talk about an engine that summarizes the cost and the benefits. Now, the deck you see in front of you is basically the deck list that I showed in episode 1, only with a few minor changes, that being the Tachyon packages in here. So that's the 1 Primal and 1 Transmigration in the main, along with 1 Dragluxion in the extra. So I think this is like a perfect example for our new cost-benefit analysis graphic. So running the Tachyon package, the costs are 2 hard bricks in the main, in the Primal and Transmigration, as well as 1 precious extra deck slot in the Dragluxion. And by extension, I guess since we wasted that extra deck slot, we pushed the Escalon to the side deck, so that's 1 side deck slot burned as well. Maybe it's game 1, and we go second, and we're missing our premier removal / board breaker in Escalon. Those are the costs. The benefit, what do we get out of it? If we just do our regular combo line, we just basically get a free Tachyon Transmigration out of it for free to back up our inboard, aka the best counter trap in the whole game. Another one would be, running a spheres target. Since we're already running spheres in the extra, that doesn't count as a cost. The only cost is 1 brick in the main in your spheres target. What do we get out of it? Our inboard, we just get an extra layer of disruption on top of our inboard for no reason. Another engine, I guess, would be the Dispatter and the Snake Eyes Doom Dragon. So the second Snake Eyes Doom Dragon is basically just there to summon the Dispatter. So the costs are no bricks in the main. We don't have to run anything in the main, but we do burn up 2 extra deck spots for this. And what do we get out of it? Our inboard just gets a random Dispatter for free, out of nowhere. So those are some examples. But for the engine that we're talking about today, the Red Eyes engine, what are the costs? The costs are a Black Metal Dragon, a Darkness Metal Dragon, a Black Full Metal Dragon, and a Max Metal Morph in the main. So that's quite hefty. That's 4 cards you have to run in your main deck, as well as a Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon and an Atum in the extra deck. So 2 extra deck spots as well. Each of the cards are okay. They're subpar cards, but they're not like hard bricks like the Tachyon Transmigration or the Tachyon Primal. If we say these hard bricks like Tachyon Primal is like a 1-star card, and our best card in our deck is like, Coronus is a 5-star card, and Mistleton or Legatus are like 3-star cards. Each of these cards here in the Red Eyes package can be considered a 2 or 3-star card. So they're like subpar, but they're not hard brick. And what are the benefits that we get out of it? We get an additional Omni Negate on top of our inboard in the form of Red Eyes Black Full Metal Dragon. So yeah, it's just the Omni Negate. There's no cost, and there's also an optional effect to do some burn damage to your opponent. And it's also going to be equipped with a Max Metal Morph, which makes it not quite as good as Towers, but that's pretty good. Its protection effect is plus 400 attack and defense, so boost your full metal from 3/4 to 3/8, as well as making it unable to be destroyed or targeted by monster effects, and unable to be destroyed or targeted by spell effects. So basically, it's like protection against most engine outs. Of course, a lot of non-engine outs like Imperm, Max Metal Morph doesn't cover. Against things like Super Poly, Max Metal Morph won't cover. Each of these cards individually are pretty good. Like the Full Metal can shuffle itself to set a Max Metal Morph. So compared to like the Transmigration and the Primal, if you're playing under draw, or if you drawed yourself to play through their Forloss, basically you're never going to get the Tachyon Transmigration as the part of your inboard. You have to basically hard open both the Primal and the Transmigration. However, with Max Metal Morph and Full Metal Dragon, Full Metal can shuffle itself into the deck and set the Max Metal Morph. And if you open the Max Metal Morph, you could just set it. So no matter which of these you open, you get access to your free Omni Negate provided you have a level 5 or higher dragon to tribute for cost of the max metamorph, which you probably should. Max metamorph also doesn't care where it summons from, so it can summon from the graveyard. So like, if you have to ravine, discard a Tachyon Primal, for example, you probably will lose access to, your Tachyon Transmigration. There are like niche scenarios where you can add the Tachyon Primal that you discarded off Ravine back with Divine Wind, provided you have something in your hand to summon with the Divine Wind already, but that doesn't come up much. Whereas, if you open both Max Metamorph and Full Metal Dragon, you could happily just discard the Full Metal for Ravine, since the Max Metamorph can summon from the graveyard. Atum is also just a really good utility card in the extra deck, even if you're not doing the full combo with it. If you get hand trapped in awkward places, sometimes Ravine can salvage the situation and just like let you combo through those hand traps. Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon is also part of the combo, so this is another benefit that you get out of it. Of course, we won't be able to summon the Dispatter if we're summoning the Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. However, Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon is just simply a better card than Dispatter most of the time. So yeah, that's just an upgrade. The Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon is also a really good card, especially when comboed with like Divine Wind in the grind game, for example. So Divine Wind can get back your Darkness Metal Dragon. Darkness Metal Dragon has an effect that summons itself from the hand, and Darkness Metal can revive like a Crystal Wing every turn, for example. So every turn, you Divine Wind, Darkness Metal, Crystal Wing. That's a lot of pressure in the grind game. They'll probably win you like all the grind games. Even the Full Metal Dragon, after you summon it properly with Max Metamorph, Red Eyes can reborn the Full Metal every turn. Divine Wind into Darkness Metal into Full Metal. It won't have the Max Metamorph protection, but you don't need it. You still get the Omni Negate, and it's still 3/4. So it's just a good grind card in general. Black Metal is probably the worst card to draw, but you can make it a pretty decent card to draw if you dedicate yet another extra deck slot for a Striker Dragon. So the idea with this is, it doesn't come up much since we're only running one Black Metal Dragon, and you have to be drawing that one Black Metal Dragon in a hand where you don't have another decent normal summon like Coronus or a way to search Coronus. In those situations, having the Striker Dragon makes the Black Metal Dragon a one-card combo, although not your preferred one-card combo. The ceiling is just much lower than like normal summoning Coronus, but it is a one-card combo. Your normal Black Metal Dragon, you could go into Pisty, but we need the Pisty in the extra deck to combo off later down the combo line, so you should run like a Striker Dragon for situations like this. But Black Metal into Striker Dragon, Black Metal triggers, search Red Eyes, banish the Striker Dragon, reborn the Black Metal, go into Romulus, Black Metal searches the Full Metal, Romulus searches the Ravine, Ravine gets Remus, Remus gets another Ravine, Ravine gets Legatus, and we've seen this combo in my episode 2 already. Except this time we get an extra, Full Metal, Max Metamorph on the board. And yeah, I guess another card that we could kind of talk about is the Armogram might also be worth running, because it is a level 10. If we're running the Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, the level 10s suddenly get a lot of value, since they can sync with the level 2 tuners into Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. It's just something to consider. We're not going to take anything out of the main deck for the purposes of this combo, but the extra deck, we're going to take out the second Doom Dragon and the Dispatter. Since we won't be able to make the Dispatter since we're using our level 2 tuner with our level 10 Red Eyes Darkness Metal to make Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, so we won't have like a leftover phalanx to go into Dispatter with. And since we're not running the Dispatter, the second Doom Dragon becomes useless as well. So those are our 2 extra deck slots for the Vengeance and Atum. And yeah, we'll go on to do an example combo. Alright, so this is going to be the example combo for the Red Eyes engine. So in this example, we're going to go with Remus and 2 discards, and we're going to try and go for 10 disrupts. Although the 10 disrupt comes from the extra Gaydark search and its ability to search DD Crow, so you will need like a random wing beast or dragon in your hand to discard, like a 4 loss, to get that 10th disrupt. Now, this combo might seem like we're playing through, no hand traps, but basically, if any of the discards that you open is like a Phalanx or like a Legatus or like basically any Dragoonity name, you can easily just streamline this combo to make 5th summon Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon without a problem. But for Remus and no other names, this is basically how it goes. So, Remus search Ravine, discard, search Corinus, normal Corinus. Now we're going straight for Divine Wind, because this is an Atum combo, so we want our 2-spell trap searches to be Divine Wind plus Afterglow rather than Divine Wind plus Divine Lance, which is why we're going for Divine Wind first here. But special back the Remus because we control a Dragoonity monster. Synchro Gayderg, add and discard Zephyros. Zephyros bounce, take the 400. Activate Ravine again, discard again, add Falchion. Next up, we're going straight for Divine Wind. We're adding back the Corinus, special summoning the Corinus, and then equipping Kus. We're going to use Corinus to bounce the Kus and special the Falchion. So this is the cool thing that we can do if we didn't use Divine Lance in our combo. We still have the Corinus bounce for later on. And it's a good way to generate an extra body, because you could also just equip the Mistletoe and then special the Mistletoe with Corinus as well, equipping one from Grave if you have one. Which is why I said, if you discarded any random like Phalanx off the Ravine, this specific interaction can get you the extra body that you wasted on the early Crystal Wing. But we keep going. Corinus plus Falchion into Romulus. Romulus effect to search Afterglow. Activate Afterglow, search Mistletoe. We're gonna banish Falchion to equip Phalanx from deck. Special Phalanx, synchro into Crystal Wing. Now because we summoned a extra deck dragon monster, with Romulus up, we get special summon from hand, but it can't be used as a link material. So this is the other effect of Romulus that barely ever comes up. For this combo, it's a nice extra body on the field in the form of Kus, which we are going to send for Mistletoe. And then Mistletoe equips Gayderg, banish Glow, summons the Gayderg, add DD Crow, and discard a random wing beast like Forlos. Overlay the 2 6s for Atum. Atum summons Black Metal Dragon. Link 1 into Pisty. Black Metal Dragon, when it's sent to the graveyard, searches a Red Eyes, so Red Eyes Darkness Metal. Banish the Atum for Red Eyes Darkness Metal. Don't summon it in Zone 2, because we need that open. Darkness Metal revives a dragon, so Black Metal Dragon. Black Metal plus Romulus into Triple Burst, and then since Black Metal isn't once per turn, we can go ahead and search the Red Eyes Black Full Metal Dragon. Pisty effect. We're not going to get the Falchion from Banish. We're going to summon the Kus from our graveyard, because we need to go into Barcher right now, or else we run out of monster zones. Kus plus Zephyros into Barcher. Barcher equips everybody. We're going to summon the Phalanx, and then Phalanx plus Red MD into Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. We're going to summon the Kus, and then Kus plus 3 Burst Shot Dragon into Georges. Georges summons the Loon from deck. We don't need to equip. We don't have the zones to utilize that equip anyways. But Pisty and Loon into Heavenly Spheres. Loon is going to equip to the Georges. Going to send 2 of our equips that are still on Barker. And we're gonna go for Snake Eyes Doom Dragon. And then overlay the 2 into Dragluxion. Dragluxion, on summon, grabs Primal. Dragluxion detach effect, summons Harbinger. Summon the Primal, and Primal gets us Transmigration. And then we shuffle back the Full Metal to get Max Metamorph. And then set the Transmigration, and that's our turn. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 negates, 5, And then after we fire off any of our Crystal Wing, Transmigration, or Vengeance Dragon, we can go ahead and max Metamorph any of them into full metal, which is another negate. Now, if your opponent is unable to clear any of your stuff, you could also just clear your own stuff. So Heavenly Spheres, it can bounce your opponent's stuff, but if you really need the zones, you could bounce one of your own, summon your sphere's target, and that's 2 more disrupts. And with the extra monster zone opened up, Georges can go ahead and summon out the Reaper, and that's another negate. And don't forget the DD Crow in your hand, for a total of 7 negates and 3 disrupts. Don't forget Georges has a nice Dweller effect as well. And then you also have 2 layers of battle phase protection this time. Hope Harbinger, we're already familiar with his battle protection. And Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon has a battle protection effect as well. During the battle phase, you can pop basically whatever you put in the spell trap zone and another monster. So in other words, we're not really that afraid of the Super Poly. So the Super Poly can hit, say, your Harbinger plus your Primal, which will turn off the Transmigration. And then, they might, their plan might be to get rid of the Harbinger so they can use whatever they summon off the Super Poly to attack the seals and bait out the seals effect. But you have Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, you can scale that, and if they have a second monster, you can pop that as well. But yeah, that is it for the Red Eyes Dragoonity showcase.